Have you ever stopped to think about why a price jump on petrol is annoying, sure, but you pay it anyway, while a pizza getting just a little bit more expensive makes you think twice about dinner? It's this weird little puzzle we all deal with. And the answer, well, it's one of the most powerful concepts in all of economics. Let's dig in.
So, to figure this out, let's meet a guy named Ravi. Now, Ravi's got two things he buys pretty regularly. First, there's petrol for his bike. He absolutely has to have it to get to college. It's a necessity. Then there's pizza, which, is just for fun. It's a treat. And this simple difference, necessity versus treat, is at the heart of everything.
Okay, so picture this. One day, the price of petrol shoots up from 100 rupees to 120 rupees. What does Ravi do? Honestly, not much. He still has to get to class, right? So he might complain about it, but he fills up the tank. His demand for petrol, it barely changes.
But then, his favorite pizza joint raises its prices by the exact same amount, from 100 rupees to 120. What happens this time? Whoa, a completely different story. Ravi hits the brakes. Maybe he cooks at home or grabs something else. The point is, he starts buying way less pizza.
And that brings us to the big question. We're talking about the same 20 rupee increase for both items. So why the totally different reactions? What is going on here? And you know what? The core idea behind all this is actually super simple. It's just that some things we buy are really, really sensitive to price changes, and for other things, we're just not that sensitive at all. That difference in sensitivity is the whole game.
Of course, economists have a term for this sensitivity, and it's the star of the show today, elasticity of demand. It sounds complicated, but all it really is a way to measure just how much our buying habits, the quantity we demand, react when a price moves up or down. It's all about that responsiveness.
Now, here's the thing. This isn't just an on or off switch. It's actually more like a spectrum. So let's break down the 5 different degrees of this reaction, all the way from I don't care at all to I'm extremely sensitive.
All right, let's start at one extreme end, perfectly inelastic demand. Here, the elasticity value is a big fat 0. What that means is, no matter how much the price skyrockets or plummets, the amount people buy stays exactly the same, period.
So what are we talking about here? Well, think about things you absolutely have to have. A life-saving drug is the classic example. You'll pay whatever it takes. Or, just like Ravi, the petrol you need for that essential commute. You just don't have a choice.
Okay, next up is a category you see all the time, inelastic demand. Here, the elasticity value is less than 1. This means when the price goes up, demand does fall, but just by a little bit. It's not a one-to-one drop. This is a perfect fit for Ravi's petrol situation.
A great example would be essential food grains, like rice or wheat. If the price goes up, people might try to be a bit more careful, but they've still got to eat, right? The drop in demand is way smaller than the actual price hike.
Right in the dead center of our spectrum is something called unit elastic demand. Here, the value is exactly 1. This is kind of a theoretical sweet spot where everything is perfectly balanced. If the price goes up by 10%, the demand drops by, you guessed it, exactly 10%.
Okay, now we're getting into the sensitive zone. This is elastic demand, where the value is greater than 1. With these goods, even a small price increase can cause a huge drop in how much people want to buy. And this, right here, is Ravi's pizza problem.
So yeah, this category is full of non-essentials and luxury items. Think restaurant meals, designer clothes, the latest smartphone. These are things we can easily find alternatives for or just live without. So when the price goes up, we cut back fast.
And finally, at the other extreme, we have perfectly elastic demand. The value here is literally infinity. This is mostly a textbook idea, but it describes a situation where if a seller raises their price even a tiny bit, demand instantly crashes to 0 because buyers can get the exact same thing for cheaper right next door.
So, the theory is cool and all, but so what? Why does this actually matter in the real world? Well, because businesses use this idea every single day to make huge decisions about pricing. It all comes down to what we can call the total spending trick.
Check this out. The rule is simple, but it is so powerful. If your product's demand is elastic, meaning people are sensitive to the price, and you raise your price, your total money coming in, your revenue, will actually go down. But if your product is inelastic, you can raise the price and your total revenue will go up.
Let's just do the math with Ravi's story. Let's say he used to buy 10 pizzas a month at 100 rupees. The shop was making 1,000 rupees from him.
When the price hits 120, he only buys 5. Suddenly, the shop's income from him drops to 600. Now look at petrol. Say he bought 10 units at 100. At the new price of 120, he just cuts back a little, to 9 units. The petrol station's revenue from him actually goes up to 1080. See, that's the power of this concept.
But wait, there's more. Because it's not just a product's own price that can mess with our buying habits. Elasticity is actually a much bigger idea, and there are other forms that help explain how demand shifts and changes.
First up, we have cross elasticity. This is all about how the price of one product affects demand for a different one. So for substitutes, like pizza and burgers, if the price of pizza goes up, the demand for burgers also goes up. That's a positive link. But for things that go together, like tea and biscuits, if tea gets more expensive, you buy less tea, and so you also buy fewer biscuits. That's a negative link.
And then there's income elasticity. This one is pretty intuitive. It just tracks how your demand for stuff changes when your income changes. For most things, what we call normal goods, when you get a raise, you buy more of them. But for inferior goods, the cheaper alternatives, as your income goes up, your demand for them actually goes down because you can afford to upgrade.
Okay, I know that was a lot, but let's bring it all back home. Why should you personally care about any of this? Well, because understanding elasticity isn't just for economists in a classroom. It's a really practical tool for making sense of the world and your own wallet.
Seriously, think of this as your new economic superpower. You can finally understand why governments love to put huge taxes on things like petrol and cigarettes, because they're inelastic and they know people will keep buying them. You get why stores have massive sales on luxury goods. They're elastic, and a lower price brings in tons of buyers. And you can get a better handle on how your own spending will change if your income shifts.
So I'm going to leave you with a question. Think about the very last thing you bought. Anything. Your morning coffee, a train ticket, a snack. In that moment, for you personally, was its demand elastic or was it inelastic? Once you start asking that question, trust me, you'll start seeing economics everywhere.